For it but to scramble down this gully, Sam, said Frodo. Let's see what it leads to. A nasty drop, I'll bet, said Sam. The cleft was longer and deeper than it seemed. Some way down they found a few gnarled and stunted trees, the first they had seen for days. Twisted birch for the most part, with here and there a fir tree. Many were dead and gaunt, bitten to the core by the eastern winds. Once in milder days there must have been a fair thicket in the ravine, but now, after some 50 yards, the trees came to an end, though old broken stumps straggled on almost to the cliff's brink. The bottom of the gully, which lay along the edge of a rock fault, was rough with broken stone and slanted steeply down. When they came at last to the end of it, Frodo stooped and leaned out. Look, he said, we must have come down a long way, or else the cliff has sunk. It's much lower here than it was, and it looks easier too. Sam knelt beside him and peered reluctantly over the edge. Then he glanced up at the great cliff rising up, away on their left. Easier, he grunted. Well, I suppose it's always easier getting down than up. Those as can't fly can jump. It would be a big jump still, said Frodo. About, well, he stood for a moment, measuring it with his eyes. About 18 fathoms, I should guess. Not more. And that's enough, said Sam. Ah, how I do hate looking down from a height. But looking's better than climbing. All the same, said Frodo. I think we could climb here, and I think we shall have to try. See, the rock is quite different from what it was a few miles back. It has slipped and cracked. The outer fall was indeed no longer sheer, but sloped outwards a little. It looked like a great rampart or sea wall whose foundations had shifted, so that its courses were all twisted and disordered, leaving great fissures and long slanting edges that were in places almost as wide as stairs. And if we're going to try and get down, we'd better try at once. It's getting dark early. I think there's a storm coming. Fingers and the ledges were far apart, but at last he too was down. Well, he cried, we've done it. We've escaped from the Emyn. And now what next, I wonder? Maybe we shall soon be sighing for good hard rock underfoot again. But Sam didn't answer. He was staring back up the cliff. Ninny hammers, he said. Noodles, my beautiful rope. There it is tied to a stump, and we're at the bottom. Just as nice a little stair for that slinking Gollum as we could leave. Better put up a signpost to say which way we've gone. I thought it seemed a bit too easy. If you can think of any way we could have both used the rope and yet brought it down with us, then you can pass on to me Ninnyhammer or any other name your gaffer gave you, said Frodo. Climb up and untie it and let yourself down if you want to. Sam scratched his head. No, I can't think how, begging your pardon, he said. But I don't like leaving it, and that's a cool night air. Gollum cast up and down along the brink, and at length he called to them.
Here, we can get down here. Smeagol went this way once. I went this way, hiding from all.
He led the way, and following him the hobbits climbed. He looked up and gave one last pull to the rope, as if in farewell. To the complete surprise of both the hobbits, it came loose. Sam fell over, and the long grey coil slithered silently down on top of him. Frodo laughed. Who tied the rope? He said. A good thing it held as long as it did. To think that I trusted all my weight to your knot. Sam didn't laugh. I may not be much good at climbing, Mr. Frodo, he said in injured tones, but I do know something about rope and about knots. It's in the family, as you might say. Why, my granddad, and my Uncle Andy after him that was the gaffer's eldest brother, he had a rope walk over by Tyfield many a year, and I put as fast a hitch over the stump as anyone could have done in the Shire or out of it. Then the rope must have broken. Frayed on the rock edge, I expect, said Frodo. I bet it didn't, said Sam in an even more injured voice. He stooped and examined the ends. "Nor it hasn't neither, not a strand." "Then I'm afraid it must have been the knot," said Frodo. Sam shook his head and didn't answer. He was passing the rope through his fingers thoughtfully. "Have it your own way, Mr. Frodo," he said at last. "But I think the rope came off itself when I called." He coiled it up and stowed it lovingly in his pack. "It certainly came," said Frodo, "and that's the chief thing. But now we've got to think of our next move. Night will be on us soon. How beautiful the stars are, and the moon." "They do cheer the heart, don't they?" said Sam, looking up. "Elvish they are, somehow. And the moon's